So I'm outside the Carnegie at Thetford for the Great Resist conference, which is taking place. I didn't advertise it on the channel because we didn't want people getting it cancelled, because we know certain people watch my channel, which would make that more of a reality. And yeah, let's go and have a look and see what's happening.
Hello everybody! Thank you. And thanks, it's special. Can we have a round of applause please for Liz, because Liz will happily sneak away to the background and leave us all to it. So a special thanks to Liz, because the massive commitment what goes into getting 300 people in one place is phenomenal. Okay, I'm Mark, the bowler hat farmer. For those of you who follow me, thank you very much. For those who don't, disappointing really. So we're going on tour, and one of the things which my good friend Richard Fodes will always say, is that good news doesn't sell like bad news. Well, that's because that's the narrative which you are used to, and we've got to change that. One of the things which I want to do with the tour this year, we're going on tour. Gloria, she's sitting down here. We're going on tour for 6 months. That's a long time. It's a long time not to have creature comforts of living at home. We've had some changes seen this year. So my uncle, whose farm we were on, sadly died a few weeks ago, and that's to put changes on the farm, and as a result of that, well, we're going to go on tour. We were going to go and do a few dates across the country, but as a result of launching the Food Finders Hub, and the Food Finders Hub will properly launch in mid-March, so if you haven't yet registered to that, get yourselves on there. About 7,000 people have already registered on there. And the idea of the Food Finders Hub is simple. It's about farmers producing food and the public being able to buy it, without any question of the bit in the middle. See, the bit in the middle is the problem. The bit where I get confused with the food system is we have this thing called processing. And processing is a problem because most of the agricultural land what we produce on is for growing sugar beet, wheat, barley, all things we don't actually have in the food system, what we need. We need fruit and vegetables, we need meat. All the rest of it is just to add to the processing system, which keeps the supermarket chain alive. Is there anyone in here who uses a supermarket to get their everything shopping-wise? No one dare put the hand up. Unfortunately, the change what's got to come in the food industry has got to come from us, the consumers. The big thing what's going to come out of the tour, as well as doing 100 speeches, and that's all great, and I could talk to rooms full of people, the biggest thing I want to get from this is go and see the farmers. And get the farmers to understand the transition that's got to happen. The transition, where we have a problem at the moment is that farmers grow produce that nobody wants to buy direct from them. Fair? Yeah? Nobody wants a ton of wheat. No one wants, 50 sugar beet. But who would go to a farm if they grew carrots and potatoes and cauliflowers and cabbage, and you could buy direct from a farmer? That's what the public wants. Farmers don't believe that. They honestly don't believe that. They think the answer is to just keep going down the road of growing big fields, big tractors, big equipment, growing big produce for big players. They're on self-destruction and they can't see it. I think that across social media platforms, we have a job to do, and I'm not just talking about the guys who have channels. You guys, you're the masses. If you start putting on social media what you want, the world will respond to it. We know that. Farmers are watching at the moment. I belong to all the big farming group, Farmers to Action and so forth, all of their WhatsApp groups. And they are terrified at the minute that the supermarkets will drop them and they'll end up with no customers. That's complete BS. What we need to do is we need to get the consumers telling the farmers what to produce. Tell them. Go see your local farmers. Say to them, listen guys, if you was to produce, sheep, I'll buy half a sheep at a time, I'll put it in the freezer. If you grow vegetables, we'll come and get them. Start farm shops. We've got to change this from the bottom up, because this isn't going to come from the top down. If anyone thinks that any member of Parliament is going to make a difference, it's not. The farmers don't know what they're doing at the moment. And they've been offered so much money not to produce food, it's ridiculous. That's got to change. What we need is, we need someone like Kennedy, who's doing the talks around America obviously at the moment, and he's putting out that we need to reward the smaller farmers. I've met some amazing people on my tour so far. Growers, independent people who really, really understand how to grow food, how to make the soil great again. And this is one of the things, I know we've got a couple of people in today, especially the guys from the electroculture side. For those of you who don't know, I had the pleasure last year of, on the farm at Lorshall where we were, of starting to put together the electroculture side, and in a short space of time we saw things that blew my head. I am trained in agriculture and horticulture, and straight away we're in the point where everything I'm taught over 2 years goes against everything I've been taught for 16 years by my granddad. How to look after the land, how to nurture the land, how to develop the ground, how to make sure that it gave you what you wanted back. The problem is, everything is driven by money. These big farms, and I say big farms, they're 500 acres and above, are up against it because they've got to fit in with the narrative. What is the narrative? Keep chucking on glyphosate, weed killer. Keep chucking on night crab. Keep chucking on something else. And eventually you'll grow a really lovely universal crop. Well, that's all good and well, but that shite don't want to be in your body. Simple as that. And is it a fair understanding for, for everyone in the room that organic food is better? Yeah. Why the hell do we need to call it organic? Can it not just be meat? Can it not just be milk? Can it not just be veg? No, we've got to call it organic. We have to justify what it is we want. Yet farmers can put all sorts of trash on food, and that's classed as normality. That shows how mucked up our food system is. So, we're launching the foodfindershub.co.uk. It's a place where, through the tour which we'll develop, we've got loads of farmers, about 250 farmers on there so far, which sell direct to the public, and as more of those get aware of it, we'll get more and more on there. What this needs to be, though, is a revolution. Not the kind where you grab your pitchfork, apparently. That's wrong, I can't say that. This apparently is a food revolution. A revolution that's got to be driven from the ground up by you guys and people just like you all over the country, and then all over the world. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of a guy called Joel Salatin. Yeah? Joel's in talks with me at the minute to come to the UK in November to do some touring with me. Joel Salatin, me! Joel Salatin! From my side, this is someone I follow on social media, and I'm like, wow, this guy's a good, he understands farming so well and understands where we're going with this. This is the kind of person we need to be talking to. I've had some great people contact me about the tour, I will say before I go off. I've had some great people contact me. I had a guy called Duncan put in touch with me, and Duncan runs a 400-acre organic farm up in Merseyside. Guys are coming up with me from the electroculture side. This guy grows 100 acres of vegetables, all by hand. They don't use any tractors. That blows my mind, because I know how difficult it is to grow a little bit. And he said, well, it's not that difficult at all. He said, you just have enough people and enough understanding of the soil. See, the problem is, when we drive about around East Anglia, we see, and Gloria will tell you, we came through the back end of Stowmarket the other day, and all the fields are flooded. They've been growing sugar beet on there, and they've been up and down the field with a harvester weighing 60, 80 tonne at a time when it's full of sugar beet. The ground's so compressed, so damaged, so broken, the water can't go anywhere. The worms can't do anything to the ground. The ground is trashed. What we've got to do is get the goodness back into the ground. We've got to get the bio back in. We've got to get the worms working. We've got to get to understand again what is involved in growing food. See, the problem is, if you put chemicals into the ground, and nitram into the ground, you get that in your food. If you put goodness back in the ground, and minerals back in the ground, and vitamins back in the ground, that ends up in you. Which do you want? It's as simple as that. You need to tell farmers what it is you want. So, can I just ask, can someone come to the front of the room? Gloria, just a favour, just come up here and just take a picture. I need to do something. Right. And just want to prove to farmers across the country via social media what my point is here. So can you give Gloria a round of applause? Can you grab a picture of the audience? Okay. So, can I have a show of hands, please? Work with me here. Can I have a show of hands for those who want to eat organic food?
We do.
Okay. Got a picture? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, because I think that we have 100% of the power. I say we as in people who eat things. Yeah. Yes, farmer, but from my side, I'm coming out of farming for 6 months to go on tour. How? I don't know, I don't own a vehicle. Right, because I crashed my car last year and insurance companies and my van, what I use, is got to stay for them to do the wholesale side, so I don't have a vehicle to go on tour with. I don't have any money to go on tour with, that's for sure. I don't have any money for 6 months. But, and anyone who knows me will know I'm not a religious person. However, what I will say on that side of not being religious is, I woke up early one morning and thought to myself, and I've had the same conversation with my cousin who's a pastor, right? And so he understands, he's a man of God, right? We had the same conversation. I woke up one morning and I thought to myself, Jesus, I need to go and do a talk about this. I need to go and start telling the general public what's going on with the food supply.
Holy Spirit.
I don't know why. I believe that out of adversity comes opportunity. We're leaving the farm. That's something I can't do anything about. I'm sure as I tour the country, an opportunity is going to come my way. I don't know how we're going to do the tour. If anybody wants to make a donation, that'd be really cool. You can go to thebowlerhatfarmer.com and do that. From my side, the excitement of the tour is what's driving me at the moment, because I've had farmers contacting me, I've had WIs, churches, I've had you name it contacting me. I'm just Mark with a bowler hat and a big mouth as far as I'm concerned. Where do we go from here? Because from my side, I've witnessed some bizarre changes in my life in the farming community, and there's none of them are for the good. And then I go visit, like my cousin who's a pastor, he has a 15-acre regenerative farm, and my God, he understands regeneration of the soil. I thought I knew a lot until I spoke to him, and he's on a different league. They're planting orchards, they're planting nut bushes, they're planting fruits like it's going out of fashion. They're starting to understand there's a reason for it. Now, the reason I say a reason for it is because we have an issue. I'm sure most people know about that thing called the 2030 Agenda. Yeah. We're not going to talk about it today because it's not important, right? However, it is coming. Whether we like it or not, they are pushing hard to take the farmers away. They're pushing hard to take away what we see at this point in time as agriculture. And I genuinely hate to say this, but there's a lot of the agriculture, about 90% of it, we don't need. See, the problem is, and I'll just talk about this before I go off this, when we grow food in the UK, if we grow an acre of wheat, right, we get 4.5 tonnes of wheat. The profit on that is under £400 on an acre. I can earn out of vegetables £1,000 of a place as big as this stage. Farmers have lost the plot when it comes to how they earn money. They think it's all about growing big fields full of big produce, and it's not. They need small areas. And I'll tell you what I see coming, and I'm seeing this all over the country, is the fact that the communities are taking over small plots of land on farms. The communities are growing the vegetables. We have to make a choice. As far as I'm concerned, stood here today, I've made a choice to be here. You've made a choice to be here. The next progressive step we all have to make is what we're going to do about our food supply. If they're going to crash the food system, do you know what I think? Crash it before they get to it. If they're going to crash the monetary system, take your money out and crash it for them. We are the masses and they are not. Guys, thank you very much.